So let's start with a scenario that I think is going to feel probably uncomfortably familiar for a lot of people listening.
Okay.
I want you to just think about the last substantive conversation you had with your aging parent. And I don't mean the I love yous or, the weather. I mean the real meat of the conversation. What was it about? Was it their medication, their next cardiologist appointment, whether the front walk was salted?
The checklist.
Exactly, the safety checklist. And I caught myself doing this just last week. I realized I was managing the logistics of my mother's survival. I was basically her project manager.
Yeah.
And that is exactly where we're starting today. We are looking at a stack of materials from Dr. Sherry V, that's pronounced V, who's an aging and wellness advisor. And her entire premise is, well, it's basically a direct attack on that checklist mentality.
It really is. We're doing a deep dive into her book, The 7 Emotional Needs of Elders, and also some really fascinating context from another work of hers called Directions. And the core argument is that we've gotten, really good at being project managers.
Yeah.
We have the pill organizers, the life alert buttons, the grab bars.
Yeah.
But in the process of keeping our parents alive, we've kind of accidentally dehumanized them.
We forgot to ask what makes them feel alive.
That's it. That's the distinction.
And that distinction is the whole mission of this deep dive. We are not talking about medical care today. We aren't talking about estate planning, at least not in the usual way.
Right.
We're talking about what she calls the ecosystem of aging. How do we move from just, dealing with an aging parent to actually integrating them into the family? Because the current model, the one where we just worry and manage, it's broken for everyone.
It's so broken. It's broken for the elders because they feel invisible or, even worse, like a burden that has to be managed.
Right.
But Dr. V makes a huge point that it's also broken for the adult children. You've got this whole sandwich generation carrying this silent, crushing weight of guilt.
Yeah.
Am I doing enough?
Yeah.
Why is mom still so unhappy? Why is dad so resistant to everything?
That's that disconnect she talks about, that feeling of burnout where you're trying so hard, but the actual emotional connection is just fraying.
Exactly. So she proposes this shift, a shift from a clinical view to what she calls a heart-centered view. And before we even touch the 7 needs, we have to talk about the philosophy she lays out in Directions, because it really challenges how we structure our whole lives. It's a call to action for families, sure, but also for communities and even corporations.
This was the part about upstream preparation. And I have to play devil's advocate for a second here.
Go for it.
Usually when we talk about aging, we're talking about crisis management. The hip is broken. The dementia diagnosis came in. Why is she talking about this to people who might be in their 30s or 40s?
Because if you wait for the crisis, it's too late.
Too late to build the culture.
Exactly. You can't build a culture in the middle of the emergency. She's arguing for a proactive ecosystem. She's talking to couples before they even have kids or while their kids are young and saying you need to integrate aging into your family culture decades in advance.
So not waiting until grandma's 85 to suddenly figure out where she fits in the puzzle.
No. It's about building a life where elders are a sustainable part of the daily rhythm, physically and spiritually, long before the major decline starts. It just it pushes back on that very modern Western idea of the nuclear family. Parents and kids here and the elders are over there.
In a facility or a condo somewhere else.
Yeah. She wants to bridge that distance now, so the bridge is strong when you actually need it.
It sets the stakes really high. There's a dedication in her guide that I think frames this perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
She dedicates the work to every elder who has ever felt unheard, unseen, or unsure of their place, and then, this is the part that got me, to every adult who has quietly carried the weight of caring, worrying, and hoping they're doing enough.
That duality is everything. This isn't just about, be nicer to your parents. It's about relieving your own stress. And she's very explicit about how to read this guide. She says, don't skim this. Don't treat it like a textbook.
Which is hard. I'm a skimmer. I want the bullet points, the top 10 tips.
We all do. But she wants you to go slow because she wants you to notice your own emotional reaction as you read.
What do you mean?
She warns that reading about these needs might trigger guilt. You might realize, oh, wow, I haven't been meeting that need for my dad. Or it could trigger grief because you're forced to confront their mortality.
Right. Because if I acknowledge they have these deep needs, I also have to acknowledge they're vulnerable.
Exactly. And she has those feelings, the guilt, the worry, the confusion. That's all normal. The guide is a mirror. You have to process your own stuff if you actually want to help them with theirs. You can't just apply these needs like a Band-Aid.
You have to embody them. Okay, let's get into the framework. The 7 emotional needs. The first tier seems to be about basic identity, just feeling like a person, not a patient.
Right. Let's start with need number 1. The need to feel connected, and specifically, not forgotten.
Now, on the surface, this sounds obvious. Call your mother. We've all heard that a million times, but she's getting at something more specific than just checking in.
She is. Think about the context. As people get older, their world literally shrinks. Retirement, losing a driver's license, friends passing away. That social circle just gets smaller and smaller.
Yeah.
And Dr. V points out that while the circle shrinks, the human need for connection doesn't. And that gap between the connection they need and what they get, that's where loneliness grows.
And she makes this great distinction between connection and surveillance. That's a trap I think a lot of us fall into. I call to ask, did you eat? Did you take your pill? Is the door locked?
That's a wellness check.
It's not connection.
It's a transaction, and honestly, it can feel kind of invasive. Dr. V suggests focusing on the rhythm of contact. It's less about how long the call is and more about the consistency. It's about signaling you are still part of my life's flow.
But hold on, because I know people listening are thinking, I'm working 50 hours a week, I have kids, I don't have time for hour-long chats every day. How do we do this without burning ourselves out?
And that's the beauty of the rhythm idea. It doesn't have to be long. It's about frequency. It's about integration. A quick text with a photo of the grandkids at the park in that moment.
Oh, I like that.
A weekly call that happens at the same time every week so they can look forward to it. It's about making them feel emotionally close, not like an item on your to-do list. It's saying, I see you, not I'm checking on you.
That flows right into need number 2, which I think is one of the toughest ones in our culture. The need to feel useful and purposeful.
This one is huge. The book highlights this deep-seated fear that so many elders have. The fear of being irrelevant, or worse, being a burden.
I'm just in the way. I'm slowing you down. I've heard those exact phrases.
And the tragedy is, we often reinforce that feeling with our kindness, right? And say, oh, Mom, don't worry, I'll get the water. Dad, don't try to fix that. I'll hire someone.
We strip their agency because we think we're caring for them.
But the message they hear is, you are no longer useful here.
That is such a tough balance, though, because if Dad genuinely can't fix the sink safely anymore, I have to step in. So how do we meet this need for purpose without compromising safety?
Dr. V says we have to reframe what purpose means. It's not productivity. It's not about what they can do. It's about meaning. It's about inviting them into roles where they contribute their wisdom.
So like asking for advice.
Yes. Mom, how did you handle it when I was a teenager acting out? Or, Dad, I'm struggling with this thing at work. What do you think? It's also about family lore. Asking them to teach a grandchild a family recipe or a card game.
It signals your value to this family didn't end when your career did.
Exactly. It shifts the whole dynamic from I'm taking care of you to we're sharing life. Purpose protects against depression. If I have a role, I have a reason to get up. If my only role is patient, well, the decline is going to be a lot faster.
Okay, let's move to the next tier. These needs seem to be about autonomy, about how they interact with the world. Let's start with need number 3. To feel emotionally safe.
And we have to be really clear here, because when we hear safety, we immediately think physical safety, removing throw rugs.
Right.
She's talking about emotional safety.
The internal landscape, the anxiety.
It's the silent question. What is going to happen to me?
Will I be moved to a home without them asking me?
Will I end up alone? It's the fear of the unknown. And the book argues that we, the families, often make this worse by avoiding the topic.
Because we think we're being polite. We don't want to upset Mom by talking about selling the house, so we don't. We think silence is kind.
But in that silence, their imagination just runs wild. They assume the worst-case scenario. Dr. V argues that safety comes from clarity. Even if the plan isn't what they want to hear, knowing the plan is safer than not knowing.
So it means having those gentle, honest conversations. If you can't live here anymore, here's what we're looking at.
Exactly. And saying, we will not make a decision without you. That promise alone creates so much emotional safety, which links perfectly to need number 4, to feel respected and heard.
Ah, the infantilization issue. I see this all the time. The 50-year-old daughter talking to her 80-year-old mother like she's a toddler.
Time to put your shoes on, sweetie.
Or talking to the doctor about the parent while they are sitting right there.
It's incredibly damaging. It just shreds their dignity. We talk over them. We dismiss their concerns. We assume because their body is slower, their mind must be invalid.
Dr. V calls respect the foundation of dignity. But what do you do when they are making bad decisions? When respecting their choice conflicts with their actual safety?
The fix is consultation. It's a mindset shift. Even if you know logically they shouldn't be driving anymore, you don't just grab the keys and say, that's it. You sit down and ask, how are you feeling about your driving? I'm noticing this. How does that make you feel?
It's treating them like an adult, even if they're a dependent adult.
Yes, just asking, what do you want? It creates buy-in. If they feel heard, they're so much more likely to cooperate. If they feel bullied, they will dig their heels in just to prove they still have control. Resistance is so often just a fight for dignity.
That is a huge insight. Okay, moving to quality of life. Need number 5, predictability and stability.
Again, you have to put yourself in their shoes.
Yeah.
Aging feels chaotic. Your body's changing. Your friends are gone. Technology's moving faster than you can keep up. The world feels unstable.
So we have to be the anchor.
We need to provide the structure. This goes right back to the rhythm we talked about. If they know you visit every Sunday at 4 p.m., that is a structural beam they can lean on. If they know the holiday traditions are still happening, it reduces their anxiety.
It makes the world feel less random.
Predictability lets them relax. If I'm always wondering when you might call, I'm in a state of low-level stress. If I know when, I can just relax until then.
Okay, now need number 6 is my favorite because it's the one we always forget. Joy, play, and lightness.
It is absolutely the most overlooked. We get so obsessed with care, the medical, the serious stuff, that we forget life. Dr. V literally calls joy medicine.
I loved that concept in the notes about surplus safety, the idea that we can wrap them in so much cotton wool to keep them safe that we actually suffocate their joy.
Right, a life with zero risk or spontaneity isn't really a life.
Yeah.
Just because you're 85 doesn't mean you don't want to laugh or listen to music or see a sunset or just be silly.
And the examples in the guide were so simple. It's not about a trip to Disney World.
Not at all. It's putting on their favorite album from when they were young. It's bringing the grandkids over, not for a formal visit, but just to play on the floor so the elder can watch the chaos. It's bringing lightness into what can be a very heavy atmosphere.
Dr. V suggests asking a really specific question. What brings you joy right now? I wonder how many people have ever actually asked their parents that. We ask, how is your hip? But not, what brings you joy?
It's a transformative question. It reminds them that they're still capable of joy.
Okay, we've arrived at the last need number 7. And this feels like it's the culmination of everything else. The need for peace of mind about the future.
This is the big one. This is the existential anxiety. Where will I live? Who's going to pay for it? Who will take care of me when I can't take care of myself?
And she notes this is the hardest need for them to actually say out loud. It's scary to say, I'm afraid I'm going to run out of money.
It's terrifying. And the adult children are often scared to ask, too. So you get this standoff of silence. The goal is to break that silence so they know they're not facing the future alone.
This is where the source material gets very practical. It mentions a tool called the Peace of Mind Index, or POMI. I want to dig into this because just talk about it can feel a little vague.
Yes. And I love this tool because it solves the awkward conversation problem. It's basically an assessment, a survey. It measures the level of connection and preparedness in the family.
How does a survey help? It sounds a little clinical.
It's triangulation. If I look at you and say, Mom, you seem lonely and unprepared, you're going to get defensive.
Of course.
But if we both take a quiz and the piece of paper says, hey, there's a gap in preparedness here, then the paper is the bad guy, not me.
It objectifies the problem.
Exactly. The Family Peace of Mind Index has the elder take it and the adult child take it. Then you compare the results. It becomes a neutral third party. It highlights where the gaps are. Maybe you score high on safety but really low on joy. Now you have a roadmap.
And you can tackle it together. Look, we scored low on connection. How do we fix that? Instead of, you never call me.
Precisely. It gives you permission to talk about the heavy stuff because the tool told us to. It breaks the standoff.
So let's look at the big picture. We have these 7 needs: connection, purpose, safety, respect, stability, joy, and peace of mind. If we actually do this, if we stop being project managers and start being connectors, what's the payoff?
The payoff is what Dr. V calls intergenerational harmony. For the elder, it's obvious they feel safer, happier, integrated. But for the adult child, it's a massive reduction in guilt.
Because you aren't guessing anymore.
You are not lying awake at 3 a.m. wondering if you're a bad daughter or son. You have a framework. You know you're meeting their real emotional needs. You have clarity. And that clarity brings peace to the entire family ecosystem.
And it's worth mentioning, Dr. V really emphasizes that you don't have to do this alone. You mentioned the ecosystem. She has the Peace Between Generations podcast and online program. She even does coaching calls to help families with this stuff.
That's the key takeaway. We aren't born knowing how to parent our parents. It's a skill we have to learn, just like we learned how to raise our own kids. Dr. V is trying to provide the curriculum for that skill.
I want to wrap up with a thought from the direction source that really stuck with me. We tend to think of all of this as, well, as charity work, something we do for them. But Dr. V kind of holds up a mirror and asks us to be a little selfish.
She asks, if we integrate aging into our lives now, if we change the culture of our own families before the crisis, what are we building for ourselves?
Right. Because one day, barring a tragedy, every single one of us listening is going to be the one in that chair. We're going to be the ones waiting for the phone to ring. We're going to be the ones wondering if we're still useful.
By building this respectful, heart-centered ecosystem for our parents, we're basically training our children and our communities on how to treat us when it's our turn.
We are building the world we want to age into. That's the thought to chew on. So here's the challenge for today. Don't wait for the hip to break. Open the door to a gentle conversation. Maybe just ask that one question. What brings you joy right now? Just start the rhythm.
It's a small step, but it changes the entire path.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.